Hello.
Hello.
Hi, is everyone here?
Yeah.
Yes, sorry, Shanti.
Sorry.
Everything.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
the internet,
Yeah.
unfortunately, we have to depend on it. Yes, Mr. Santosh,
Can
I'm
I?
sorry, you were saying? Yes, please.
Yeah. So basically, the requirement right now has changed a lot, because now the FM industry was not prepared for this kind of handling this kind of pandemic. Because now if you look at the rate of infection globally, it is increasing everywhere. The risk also is parallelly increasing. So we were the FM industry, or I can say that any industry, including the healthcare, was not prepared so far to handle this kind of scenario.
Exactly.
So this is very specific scenario, so there is a huge gap in between in understanding the kind of infection, the bioscientific information related with the specific virus, how it spreads, what are the precautions which people have to take, how to stop the spread. So all these things we need a deeper understanding. So
Yes.
basically, there should be proper training and awareness given to each and everybody from top to bottom in any industry. This is the only way going forward that we can handle this kind of scenario. So basically,
Hello?
hello.
Yes,
Shanti.
I'm not sure why it's getting stuck so constantly.
Yeah, not sure about that. Um,
Um,
so right now the kind of requirement we get is to do a proper site specific risk assessment to advise the
mhm.
customer what are the appropriate measures which they have to take, whether they can run their business safely or no. So these are the kind of requirement at the moment which we're getting. So we are trying to cope up with doing some online training, but I hardly see that it's useful at this point of time, because for risk assessment definitely you have to visit the facility and see exactly how the operation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. What are the challenges that you've found in terms of training these specific staff? I'm assuming that you're right. You're training the people who are actually going out and doing the combating the virus at the front line. So, what are the
Yes.
challenges that you've had in this process?
The first and foremost thing is that the preparedness. Basically, this kind of job, when we put somebody in front for doing the sanitization, disinfection, or cleaning of the critical areas, it's a risky job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we have to make sure that we as trainers have a very deep understanding of the whole subject before we start up
Correct.
our training. This is most
Mm-hmm.
important. So gathering
Mm-hmm.
those information, as I said, this is very new, so nobody was prepared. So gathering those, collecting those information, and verifying the authenticity of those information, and to come up with proper training plan was really a big challenge in a short span of time.
True.
Yeah, the second thing is
Okay.
that one-on-one training. So what we do is that, since we're into health and safety, we basically follow certain regulations. Say, for example, when we are choosing people for a specific kind of job which is having high risk, we definitely try to eliminate those risks based on certain priorities, and I think every industry must do so. What we did is that whenever we are asked to do some training for anybody or a team related with FM specifically, where people work in high risk environment, we
Mm.
ask them to remove the people, those who are aged, say
Mm.
above 50. We ask them to call out people, those who have existing health issues. For example, they have heart problem, they are asthmatic, they have allergy, any kind of immunocompromised people. Some
Yeah.
people have allergy to dust, and some people have heart issues, high blood pressure. So we are kind of do a proper screening of the people, those who are getting into this kind of high risk areas or job
Okay.
related with that. So the first
Mm-hmm.
process starts with screening of people. Before we train them, we have to make sure that they're fit for the job. So this process starts from there. So once we identify the people, if they are physically fit and then they are okay to do the job, then the next process start with preparing them with proper PPE and usage of the PPE, because having PPE sometimes does not help. For example, the
Correct.
N95 mask itself, the pores of the mask is around 0.03 microns, whereas the
Mm-hmm.
virus size is less than zero point 0.1 micron. Okay, so basically it's a shield.
Correct.
So if you don't know how to use it, you can end up with problems. So we prepare them basically with the exact protocol, the CDC protocol we say, which the medics follow. Okay, the proper donning and doffing protocol of the entire PPE from start to the disposal, and what kind of precautions they have to follow during the entire process. So everything is set in a plan based on their specific job roles,
Mm-hmm.
specific profile they follow in their job. And then once they're prepared, we also make sure that that they follow this. So there should be refreshers, because what happens is one day when they get into this job, they sometimes get overconfident.
So,
Yeah.
So most of the people, if you've seen that some people, they after doing a couple of jobs, they feel that okay, I'm done because my mask and gloves are helping me. But
Yeah.
we have to make sure that we refresh them. We keep them saying that okay, you be confident, but don't be overconfident. You have to follow the
True.
protocol. So these
Yeah.
things are ongoing requirements. I'm sure that there is further streamlining required as far as the trainings are concerned, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
start. I think this problem is going to stay for some time. So definitely we have still we have a lot of scope for improvement as far as trainings are concerned, and we are also looking at innovative ways to deliver these trainings more efficiently.
Okay. One of the biggest. One second. Is Amar, Mr. Amar, are you there? We can't see you, but can you hear us? Mr. Amar.
he looks like he's dropped
Hello.
out, shouldn't he?
I can see him here as a presenter. Okay. Let me just get that checked. Um, okay. In the meanwhile, let's move on to the next, question. Yes. So learning and training on the job is extremely crucial during any emergency situation, right? So what kind of, what kind of resources do you have for that? I'll start with Dennis. In the meanwhile, I'll try and contact Amar. But can you tell us a little about the resources that you have for training on the job?
Sure. Well, going back to the premise, Shanti, that right now most of our training offering is being held online because of circumstance. ISSA have a whole suite of training and education product. So we have online training for frontline operatives, so from basic to advanced. We run a very good supervisory training course, which we would normally deliver at a client's premises, because that probably needs to be, it's more in depth, it's a more encompassing course than some of the others. We also have product that looks at the systems that a business has. So we have our SIMS program, which puts in place a framework for a business to prepare internally to deliver a professional external service. But if I could just make one point, Shanti, about training and how vital training is. I've seen on the internet globally instances that have actually made my hair curl. We've seen so much bad practice being utilized outside in industry. And it's vital that when a client is looking for a professional cleaning service, that they engage right at the start and ask the question, ask, how do you train your people? Do these people have the correct skills and depth of knowledge to be able to use some of these pretty harsh chemicals that we're having to use to disinfect right now?
Correct.
So again, I can't stress enough how vital it is that the people that are doing this job, and as we go forward and come through this COVID outbreak, how vital it is that people are professionally trained and really understand what they're doing on site.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Amar, you can hear me. I got your chat. Are you? But we can't hear you. I'd like you to take this question up as well. Yeah, this is what happens when we depend on the internet completely. Um, Mr. Santosh, in the meanwhile, could you take this question up? What challenges
Sure.
have you found with teaching or training them on the go?
See, um, as we discussed before, and as Mr. Dennis highlighted,
Yes.
this kind of training needs a very deeper understanding. Okay,
Yeah.
understanding of the facility, and number two is now if you look at a lot of disinfectants are available in the market.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, for providing any kind of training, or because sometimes the client themselves they select the products which they want to use it. So
Mm-hmm.
understanding the product is also very important. We have to definitely go through the details because some of the products which is selected for disinfection probably will not have any kind of short-term impact. But
Mm-hmm.
we have to also understand what are the long-term impact of these products in the environment, what kind of problems they can cause to health and the environment on a later stage.
Mm-hmm.
So having a detailed risk assessment, doing a cost assessment for all these products, and
Mm-hmm.
getting all this lined up in a row is very important. So what happens is we are forced to spend a lot of time doing all this research because nobody was prepared for this kind of scenario, and a lot of new products are coming in the market with a lot of claims. So understanding details of these products, giving them customized kind of training, the machineries itself, because a lot of equipment has come into the market, looking at
Mm-hmm.
the whole disinfection process. So the when you use equipment and dispense this chemical, then you have to see how it is going to impact the environment, how it's going to
Yeah.
affect the plants, sometimes the indoor plants you have, and then later on probably how it's going to impact your HVAC system, all these things. So basically when you do a risk assessment, it is just not limited to the impact on the people at that particular point of time, but we have to look at the long term thing also, because you're going to continue using these products in your premises. So we
Yeah.
have to
Right.
definitely look at the short term and long term impact of these products, understand these products in detail, understand the requirement. Overdoing sometimes is not going to help. So see very specifically what is the risk involved, why you want to use this product, is this product saving you, is this solving a problem, or is it's going to cause you more problems. I mean, solving one problem and ending up with another is not something which is a good idea.
Yeah. Very true.
So we have to be definitely wise. We have to do a proper product selection, and the training definitely has to be customized with total understanding of all the different kind of risks, whether it's to people, plants around, and the environment itself. Because maybe there are some products which can probably stay on the surfaces, cause a long-term issue. Yeah, so a deeper understanding is required, and a proper delivery of the training is foremost important at this particular point of time, because the industry was not prepared. So I think there
Yeah.
is a huge gap, and people sometimes they want to just do this for doing the sake of it, for compliance reason, without understanding the product or the process or the kind of risk which is involved. So
Correct.
definitely there is a huge gap at the moment.
Mm.
Yeah.
And at the
And
same time, you
exactly,
have to actually work on your on cleaning and disinfecting your premises
Ex-
while gaining a better understanding.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly,
exactly. Can I
exactly.
add
So it
something
has
on
to
it?
go.
Yes, Mr. Amar?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Well,
Thank you
I'm
so
sorry,
much.
I don't know, I was like disconnected, but I could
That's
hear
fine. It's
all the conversation. I'm sorry for that. And
no
just to
problem.
add
It
on
was
what
beyond
Mr.
our control.
Santosh, yeah, what Mr. Santosh said, like in Dubai, we're using all the chemicals that are approved by the Dubai municipality. This is first, and secondly, we work with partners like Diversity, which are all chemical certified, and also we do have training from them, and the chemical, all the technical names, the MSDS, the sheets which give all the details. So we always do something which is always approved by the municipality to be on the safer side. So I know on the market we have a lot of new chemicals which has come, but normally the hotels are all looking at those chemicals that are certified before we use them in our hotels.
Correct. Mr. Amar, being in the hotel industry, you have the maximum number of guests entering and exiting your hotel on a regular basis. So when this pandemic actually came about, what kind of strategy did you put in place for your hotels to number one, reduce cross contamination, and number two, to be disinfected enough so that no new guest would be contaminated with the disease?
Yeah. So
And
first
how
of
did
all,
you
okay.
train your staff to do that?
Yes. Okay. First of all, okay. Of course, what we started screening the people coming in the hotel, be it the guest itself or the staff.
Mm,
Okay. Let's take the case of the guest coming in the hotel. Okay. Of course, we have got at the reception. Okay. We have before going to the reception, we have a screen in some hotels. We have a screen where we can monitor the temperature of the guests. Okay, coming in. And if they're above, as we said, 35.7, then we will not let them access, but they have to stay in a place like a small a place where they can be like a quarantine place. And then the rest, okay, we do the check-in itself for the reception. We have like limited, okay, as we see the social distancing, the stickers on the floor, just to create an awareness as well. We have a shield in front of the counters. In some of our hotels, we have got the digital check-in where we don't have really to meet the guest, and
correct.
digitally they get the key on the phone and they go. So it's become more like we leave the guests by themselves, okay, most of the time, and but they are already like we communicate so through the phones that they can even they can take their own luggage with them. Okay, we
Mm-hmm.
have a belt service which is very restricted. We might have a trolley which we put at the service of the guests, which we disinfect as well before and after use. So this has been a bit of what we have done to reduce the impact of the pandemic in our hotels. Public areas, we have reduced, I would say, the number of seating in the sitting area, number of seats are all available as well. And in some cases, we have also like closed down, like meeting rooms will not be eventually used. So we have closed down some of the facilities. And looking at other facilities like the gym, we have closed. And slowly,
Mm.
if we're going to open, we're going to have a limited number of people at a point of time. And all equipments will be disinfected before and after use as well. The pools, once you open, we're going to follow the social distancing as well. The sun loungers, the tables, a less number of people on the pool. For the guest rooms, also, we are trying to sell rooms. And after checkout, we'll keep a time frame that we can resell. After checkout, the room will be
So you
cleaned.
can conduct a proper deep cleaning
Yes. Yeah,
before
so even on the
checking
floor,
anyone
if you
else in.
have on the floor, if you have got 30 rooms, we are trying to sell about 10, 15 rooms maximum, so that we don't have too many people at one time taking the lift and so on. So this has been a few things that we have done, and even for the staff, we have the staff entrance. Again, we check the temperature of the staff, and when they come in and out, and we have a lot of a emphasis put on the disinfection of highly touched area surfaces, like
Mm-hmm.
the guest elevators, the touch buttons, the door handles, and be it in the public space or at the back of the house in the staff lockers. So we have taken all those areas. As we said, we have done a thorough walk in the hotel, back and forth, taken all the points into consideration, prepared a checklist, which is being handled by the housekeeping team, and they have to just follow the protocol, and they have to do all those areas on a regular basis. Like in front of in the public space, we use like 45 minutes, 45 minutes, this time range to go around and do all the disinfection of those areas. So this has
What was
been something which has been doing, and of course, we'll have more things to come. Yeah.
correct? What was the most challenging aspect in all of this with regard to the training?
Well, I think first of all, okay, we were quite, I would say, proactive. So once we know that things are getting a bit out of control, so we had our chemical supplier. We work with diverse actually. So we went and we had some kind of discussions, and then we did a lot of research of what we need to get as chemicals and equipment, and we started straight away our training. But at the beginning, it was something new, I would say, because as I said, in housekeeping, before, let's say we take a room, we used to clean a room, and disinfection was done only maybe for the telephone and not much, So now things have changed. We have like a lot of points that we have to always look at. We have a lot of items, even we have removed from the rooms like decorative pillows, bed runners, and kind of thing. But still, we have plenty of areas to do the disinfection. So the task of the room attendant, for example, has increased in the room itself. Let's say a room was before you take a room to clean a room take 30 minutes. Now it can take 50 minutes to clean a room. So this has been a bit of a challenge because we train the people, but also we need to have a proper supervision to ensure that they're not cutting corners. So we had a full awareness. We created awareness to the staff, and we told them, okay, what is the new role that they have to work on. We have in each department we have a champion, and of course in the hotel we have assigned somebody as a hygiene manager, which will be able to coordinate and to inspect and to audit the areas as well. And we have our departmental trainers. So everybody has been involved, and we have like formed a team which will be like meeting every week from the whole department to come up with all suggestions and any issues they have that we can always discuss and find proper solutions.
Okay. Okay. So, what have you both? This question is for both Mr. Santosh and Mr. Amar. What are the resources that you found most handy in adding to training initiatives and protocols? So we have Dennis with us, who is from the ISSA. So you have several courses from the ISSA. Along with that, are there any other resources that you have used to train your staff and clients?
From my side, okay, what we have done, okay, I think a lot of, for the staff, we have emphasized a lot of visuals, a lot of visuals. We have got some videos, and then we had a lot of demos that we have done, like wearing PPEs and how to discard those PPEs as well. So this has been what we have been doing. And of course, we have done some kind of a site inspection with the staff to let's say to go to the room and to see what are the areas that we need to clean, to disinfect, to sanitize. So this has been mostly on-site a training initiative has been taken place in all our properties.
What about you, Santosh? What resources have you used to train your clients?
Well, I can say that when it comes to product and processes, we were pretty prepared because we've been giving training for the healthcare industry. So we were aware of the kind of disinfectants which are very effective in controlling viruses. So in that line, we were pretty prepared with the product, understanding of the scenario and the training requirements. We were prepared, but only the delivery part we were not that prepared, because I think most of our trainings were given at the client's facility, so which was risky at this point of time. So when the whole infection started spreading and it went out of control to a certain extent, we can say, and it was a panic situation. So making it online was the biggest challenge. Demos, so it definitely, now you see that there's problem with the internet and all those kind of issues. And then the efficiency of the training also was a bit of a question mark when it comes to online delivery, because we have to make sure that the message is delivered, the guys are trained properly and they understand the concept, and we have to make sure that they also do this in front of us, like practices, which is most important in this particular scenario. So that was the biggest challenge. Resource wise, yes, like making those demo videos and all these things, it took some time. It took us week to come up with the equipment usage and to prepare resources related with that. Normally, which we do at client facility, to convert it to an online system was a little bit of challenge, but we could overcome that kind of scenario. But when coming back to the A1, like having the risk assessment done, which is site specific, product specific assessment, that's an ongoing process which we need to further streamline going ahead.
Okay. Dennis, do you have anything to add to this in terms of what resources can be used?
Well, the resources for us have been exactly the same, Shanti.
Mm.
Because we are a global association, we've been able to bring in information on a global basis. So we've looked at all the experts from the US, from the UK, Australasia, and we've updated our website. We have a COVID-specific section on the website, which has been updated on a very, very regular basis in order to get accurate information out for people to then react and perform the task properly.
Okay. Yeah. So that's pretty comprehensive for anybody looking to use your resources as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. Let's come to the next question, which is pretty much something that everybody thinks they know about, but may not necessarily know how to use effectively. So personal protective equipment has had a heightened demand since the outbreak. How can you train employees in the correct procedure of donning and doffing, and to ensure that it is used and maintained and disposed of properly? Any one of you want to start?
Well, I'll pick it up first,
Yes,
Shanti, if we can.
please, Dennis.
This is absolutely critical that this is done correctly, and GBAC have a whole series of protocols based on knowledge, scientific knowledge, and real life knowledge from world pandemics that these guys have attended and tried to help in the past. But I can't stress enough how critical it is that PPE donning and doffing has to be trained and practiced and practiced and practiced until it's almost second nature.
Yes.
The GBAC teams that go out to, for instance, that responded to the Ebola outbreak, those guys practice putting on PPE in the dark, total darkness, because working in Africa,
Wow.
they may have to do that. And that is how important that working correctly with PPE, understanding potential hazards around the use of PPE and hazards around the area that you're working in that could affect that, is absolutely critical and must be practiced and practiced and practiced.
Right. Amar, do you have anything to say regarding the PPE?
From my side, I think we have a lot of hotels in Dubai who are use like quarantine sites where we have guests
Yes.
staying, and we work very closely with the DHA Dubai Hospital Authority as well and the hospital. So there have been a thorough, I would say, training, which I have witnessed, I have seen, and which we always use like a video footage to show to our staff. And of course, we do the demo as well in our hotels. So I think these other things keep us abreast on how to really use this PPE and how to discard. Now, also, I know when we have a room which is infected by a guest who has this COVID-19, how we disinfect, how we clean and disinfect. Normally, we have very few companies who are certified to do that because it has to be once again approved by the Dubai municipalities, those companies. So we have a protocol of how we can, how they do, they discard those PPE. So I think it gives us a bit of more of an insight to us as well, how we will go forward with this PPE, and how to use them correctly.
Okay. Mr. Santosh, I saw you smile when this question was brought up, and I'm pretty sure you have a lot to say on this. So the floor is open to you.
I think I've already mentioned that having PPE is not everything. It's not protecting you. As Mr. Dennis said, practice, because that's why I said overconfidence can get you in a very difficult kind of scenario. So the best thing is that once you have PPE, you have to understand the proper donning and doffing protocol, and you have to practice it, and then what happens is, because when I go on continually giving training to the same batch again and again, refreshers, why this is important is because what happens is once they attend, say, 10 or 15 COVID positive scenarios or high risk scenarios, and they don't have any kind of health issues. So immediately what happens, the confidence starts building up that this PPE is protecting me.
Yes.
But what happens is that overconfidence can lead to a lot of problems on a later stage, because what happens is once they are overconfident, they fail to follow the protocol. So we have to keep on reminding them that you are working at risk. These are the risks. So you have to definitely follow the protocol. So PPE is not helping you. It is a protocol which you follow with the PPE. So this is very important, and I totally agree with Mr. Dennis's words that practice, practice, and practice. That's what is preventing the whole scenario. Even for medics, is the same thing which is applicable. Because they have the best of the PPE available with them. They work very closely with this kind of infected cases, but if they fail to follow the protocol, they can end up with problem. So this is applicable for everybody working in this cleaning and hygiene industry right now. Yeah. And one more thing which I would like to highlight is here. Sometimes people, they feel that when they're at work, they have to follow the protocol, right? They have to have the PPE. But I think we have to go a step ahead, and you have to understand that when it comes to the after work scenario also, you have to definitely be careful, and you have to follow the similar protocol. Avoid the kind of supermarkets and all this at rush time. Keep proper social distancing. Have your PPE, and make sure that when you don and off, you follow the protocol. Don't use the mask and all these things more than a stipulated period. So sanitization, all these things. So having the PPE at work and after work is both important, and you have to definitely make sure that you are practicing it regularly, and you are not overconfident. You have to have that fear in mind. If that fear is not there, definitely you will miss following the protocol.
Exactly. We have a couple of questions on PPE usage. So Gopinath Rajmani says that he is having an issue in setting a procedure to dispose PPE safely, especially with open gloves and masks thrown in the mixed bin. Do any of you have any comments on this?
Yeah, sorry.
No, please, Mr.
Yeah,
Santosh,
are
if
you
you would
asking
like to
me?
take it.
So
You can, you can.
basically, what happens is whenever you are using a PPE in a high risk environment, specifically in this particular COVID-19 infection scenario, it becomes a
Yeah.
medical waste. It is a typical medical waste, and the medical waste needs to be disposed properly. There is a DM set, Dubai municipality set protocol for that. That means once you finish the job, this needs to be taken in a biohazardous waste, and there is a doffing protocol which you follow. You follow the protocol, put everything in a proper bag, seal it, disinfect yourself, bag external, and then what you do is you need to call a company which handles this kind of medical waste, not any company which disposes the waste. There is specific companies listed who handles the kind of biomedical waste. You have to hand over it to them after each and every job. This is very critical, and this is the protocol which you have to follow at this particular point of time.
And this is applicable in all sectors, no matter what
It is.
sector it will be,
It is.
right?
It is. Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Amar, there's a question for you from Martha Tizible. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. So she says, Amar, how is used PPE being disposed of in hotels? Has it been implemented for everyone who goes into the guest rooms, whether it is for engineering or inspection?
Yes, anybody having to go in a guest room. Now, just to go back, before what we're doing, when a room is being cleaned, housekeeping might call if there's any maintenance defect in a room, the maintenance team to come and fix. Now, it could be that the room is done and the maintenance can come afterwards to fix it and then they will go. So now what's happening because of the people, okay, housekeeping is the last one to clean and disinfect. So all the maintenance work has to be done when the housekeeping is still in the room. And anybody going to the room has to have a proper protective equipment, and of course the gloves and mask. And for housekeeping, actually, whenever we what we have done, they clean the room. After cleaning one room, the next room that they go, they have to dispose the PPE, the gloves, before they go for the next room. So for each room that they go, they have to have a fresh gloves because the gloves might be infected as well. So what
Correct.
we do, we have a separate bin, okay, a yellow bin, I would say, on each floors where we have kept, and in which we dispose all the masks and the gloves. The mask can be used like half a day. It depends, and then, but the gloves are used every time that we move from a room to room, we have to change. So all these are again put in a bag and sealed, and it's discarded separately.
Okay.
And all those PPE can be reused, okay, the headgear, okay, they have to come down to housekeeping or to the laundry somewhere, and they have to be properly sanitized. And after we have done that, the person who is doing it, he has to also just make sure that he's also disinfecting his hand, washing the hands properly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments on PPE from our panelists?
After May 30.
Okay, great. Similarly, tell us a little about the use of disinfectants. A lot is being spoken about disinfectants and the correct procedure with which you need to dilute them, the way you have to dispense it, how to use it properly and safely. So anybody can, take this answer first.
Can I pick it up, Shanti?
Yes, please.
So for me, we need to take a step back before we start talking about disinfectants and how we go forward. The correct trained protocol for cleaning, even in an outbreak like this, is first of all to complete the cleaning operation. So remove any soils that are in the room. So either with microfiber cloth or paper cloths. So remove the soil first. That's critical because if you then walk into a room, and I've seen this very regularly with fogging machines, misting machines, that disinfectant will land on surfaces that are already not clean. Yeah, and it will prevent the disinfectant from contacting the surfaces. So the correct protocol always is first to clean, and secondly then to disinfect. Yeah, it's very, very important. On the back of that, just as an awareness piece, you can apply disinfectants locally, and there are a myriad of different products that none have been approved so far for COVID-19, but there are a lot of product that has been approved, for instance, by the US EPA for dealing with envelope viruses, so that type of virus. And the best knowledge is that those disinfectants will actually deactivate those viruses on surface. So look for that sort of marking. But the critical thing with disinfectant is that you use it correctly. So every disinfectant manufacturer will give you a health and safety data sheet or a usage sheet. You must read and understand those sheets. It's very, very important. You must leave the disinfectant on the surfaces for the recommended amount of time, dwell time it's called. If you don't do that, the disinfectant probably won't carry out its function, and you may well have started. So two things very, very important. First of all, clean prior to disinfection, and when you use disinfectants, use those disinfectants correctly. Very, very important.
Okay. Mr. Amar, would you like to add something to this?
Well, not much. I think Dennis I agree with Dennis. Okay, first we have to clean, which means that we have to remove the dirt, and then we disinfect, because at times we have the tendency to use only disinfectant to do the job, which will not be correct. So first we have to really clean all the surfaces, remove all the dirt, and then we apply the disinfectant, and which is going to be more effective.
Exactly.
So that's what we always do, and we train our staff accordingly.
Okay. I think this answers your question, Mr. Gopinath, who's one of our listeners. He did ask earlier, do we have to use both multipurpose cleaners and disinfectant chemicals to clean a surface, or is a disinfectant enough? So from what Mr. Dennis and Amar have to say is that you need to clean it first, and then you need to disinfect the surface.
Yep.
Right. Mr. Santosh, anything to add to this, especially with the health and safety aspect for both the user of the disinfectant and the person who's going to be in that facility?
Yeah, definitely, yes. Basically, as I told you before, the selection of disinfectant is very important, and a deep understanding is required about the nature of chemical which you're using. Of course, the virus which can be killed with normal soap. Okay, the WHO protocol is that wash your hands with soap for 20 seconds and it kills the virus. So we are not dealing with the superbug here. We are dealing with simple virus which can be killed with soap and water.
Exactly.
So we have to keep all this in mind, that we don't have to use harsh chemical or something which we can end up with another problem. So assessment of risk that's why the assessment of risk is very important when it comes to usage of chemical. So we have to have a very clear understanding that we are not dealing with the superbug. When it comes to hospital, there are a lot of resistant microbes, we call it, which causes hospital acquired infections on routine. So those are tough microbes to deal with. Let it be mainly bacteria which spreads, like C. difficile, which spreads by spores. So those are tougher kind of microorganisms which are difficult to deal with. So here we are not dealing with something which is tough, which is very simple. But the issue here is that basic understanding is very low, because this is something which is a new scenario. Now I've heard my colleagues talking about temperature checks. Now, how far this temperature check is, this is only one of the symptoms. And if suppose a person he's gone through the incubation period, then only he'll show these symptoms, including temperature. But he can be carrier without that. So suppose somebody is checking into a facility, is passing through a disinfectant tunnel, which is very common nowadays. So if suppose he is having the infection, he passes through the tunnel, he can further spread it. So I think a deeper understanding is required when it comes to selection of product and process altogether. Now, let's use it, the selection of disinfectant or the usage. The first thing is, the surface has to be clean before you apply all these things. That's fine. But then you have to make sure that when you do the cleanup, you have taken an extra precaution there, because your people are at risk doing the process. Or maybe you can do a kind of disinfection before people enter that area and do the cleaning process. Okay, this is what my point is, because what happens is, suppose we know that there's a room which is occupied by a COVID positive infection case. So in that case, you cannot just straight away enter and do the cleanup there. In that, you have to reverse the process. You have to see that the microbe present there is neutralized first, and then you are at a lower risk when you're doing the cleaning process. Okay, but here again comes to the selection process, what kind of product is appropriate for this kind of scenario. So this is exactly what is the essence of training is. And then when you do this process, also after cleaning, definitely you have to use another disinfectant, which is gonna give you extended protection, because there are products which are available in the market which gives you a residual impact, which gives you a residual protection, and those kind of products can be used on touch points, critical touch points. This is again coming to the risk assessment part of it, where you identify exactly what are the risky areas, which are the critical touch points. So for example, Mr. Amar highlighted that the lift lobby, you have the buttons inside the lift, you have phones, you have escalators where everybody puts their hand. So you have to, when you do a proper risk assessment, you identify these critical touch points, find out exactly what are the appropriate products which can give you protection there. Using any product will not help, because I said we are not dealing with superbugs here. We're dealing with a very simple virus, but the spread is different, the nature is different, which is causing the problem. And there is a proper incubation period which nobody knows, because if somebody is a carrier, we hardly have any means to identify that other than active test, so which is not possible. So we have to be extra cautious. So selection of disinfectant is a very critical thing, and understanding the scope, scenario, and the facilities is another important aspect. So you merge together. You have to see that cleaning is important before disinfection, but disinfection is more important before putting people there for cleaning. You have to definitely make sure that things are neutralized before you enter that premises and take
So how would one disinfect before cleaning and disinfecting? So are you talking about things like fogging machines, which would be finer particles in a larger area? Is that something that is more effective then?
See, the idea of ULV or ultra low volume dispensing is that's what I think you heard. It's called cold fogging also, not thermal fogging. It's a cold fogging process. So what you do is you here convert the liquid into minute particles which suspends in the air. So basically the technique is used to reduce the use of chemical in a facility where you have a huge area to cover. So for example, you have to cover one room, and if you really mop that area or sanitize the entire area manually, you will consume a lot of chemical, which I feel that it indiscriminate use of chemical. So whether you can use the fogging, it gives you a more comprehensive cover. Yeah, and then again, it comes back to you have to set protocols. So, for example, you in hotel industry, there are hard surfaces, soft surfaces in a room. Now, how we are going to deal with the soft surfaces? For example, you have bed sheets, you have pillow, you have blankets, all these things, and some places it's carpeted. So again, the product selection is important. There is your disinfectant capable enough to work on all these different kind of surfaces? Is there any impact of these products on these surfaces at that particular time on a later stage? So all these things needs to be properly assessed before you choose the product and you put up protocol for using them. So basically it needs a more comprehensive understanding of all these various aspects which are interrelated. Once you identify all this, then only you can come up with a proper protocol for any specific industry. Let it be hotel, let it be a factory, let it be a shopping mall, a cafe, whatever. So it has to be very specific. So a deeper understanding is required about the product, process, and everything in a comprehensive manner, and then only you can train your people to probably overcome this kind of scenario which is new to us.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, gentlemen. There are a few questions. Okay. During work, Mr. Raju Ghule asks, during work, should we use a fabric mask or a surgical mask? And if we use a fabric mask, how should it be maintained or cleaned? Would any of you like to take this question up?
What environment is that really? Sorry, what environment is he talking about? In what scenario?
That's a good question. Actually, I'm assuming it is for hospitality. I think it is for hospitality. So in a hotel, should they use a fabric mask or a surgical mask? Okay, it's an open mall. Sorry, it's an open mall. In a mall.
Okay, sorry, I've got someone coming over in my ears. I'm not a great expert on surgical masks. I'll perhaps defer this one to my colleagues if I can, Shanti.
Yes, please. Mr. Santosh or Mr. Amar?
Yeah, basically, sorry.
Okay, go ahead,
Mr. Amar. Go ahead.
No, for me, okay, I think the mask, in fact, okay, it's for protection. So either can be used. If it's used in the proper way, I think it does the job of preventing, you getting any virus.
Okay.
That's the whole thing, But I think both masks can be used.
Okay.
Yeah, or to help prevent transmission. The other thing, anecdotally, with a mask is it'll stop you touching your nose and your mouth. As an added protection.
Okay. Mr. Santosh, your comments?
Yeah, basically, when we look at, other than the, I can say non-critical areas, when you're using a PPE, mask is of course a PPE. So when you're using a PPE like a mask, what you have to understand is that mask is for the people not to spread infection from one particular individual. For example, I don't want to spread my duty of care. This is what we call a duty of care. Like we don't want to spread, give our infection to somebody else. So in this scenario, when we use mask as a preventive aspect, what we do is we can use any kind of mask, because when we sneeze or we cough by mistake, all these things, you don't touch your face. So this is all preventing you. So having the mask is basically helping to stop the spread from a particular individual. So it's a part of his social responsibility. So he can use any kind of mask. But when he's coming and working in a critical environment, when he is working in a specific environment where there is a higher risk, definitely you have to go for professional mask, which is recommended, and then also you have to follow the protocol accordingly.
So that would ideally be like a surgical mask in his terms.
For medics, definitely, or high critical areas, it can be N95 mask. If suppose somebody is working with chemicals in a particular area, definitely you have to look at both. You have to look at the infection related thing. Also, you have to look at he's not inhaling the vapors. So you have to definitely do a proper RA and find out exactly what is the appropriate mask to use and when. Because anyway, the virus is not an airborne thing. So suppose you are even entering into a room where the infected person is not there, then definitely you can use a mask which probably, exactly. So it all depends on the RA, depending on the scenario. The selection is totally different.
Okay, so then from what you said, ideally a fabric mask which is used to prevent us from spreading any kind of illness or disease can be washed and used normally, especially if it is the coronavirus, which will be killed by a normal soap.
Yes.
Okay, great. We have another question from Mr. Krishna Kumar who says, can disinfectants used in disinfection tunnels really kill the coronavirus? The WHO says no as per the new directive, and they have made it very clear not to use or spray it on the human body.
Can I pick that up, Shanti? I saw this
Please.
online a little while ago. We've been examining it at ISSA, and personally, this is my opinion, not necessarily speaking for ISSA. I would never spray disinfectant on a human, and if WHO says don't do it, then I think we need to look at WHO's recommendations. I know of no chemical in the world that is wholly 100% safe to spray on the human body. It gives me nightmares, Shanti, quite honestly.
True. Your comments, Mr. Santosh, health and safety?
Well, that's a very, very good question. I think I started, when we started the discussion, I mentioned about the disinfectant tunnel. Now, you have to see that how it's helping. Now you see that a person who is infected, he's having infection in his lungs and inside his body. So he can simply pass through the tunnel and spread the infection ahead. So is it really helping? That's number one. So when you do a set up a process or use a chemical, you have to weigh whether that's helping or creating more problem. Okay. So number one, you have to see that this disinfectant tunnel, is it really helping control the situation in any manner, to what percentage? That's what you have to do. And if it is if the help is minimal or the risk mitigation is minimal, then I don't think it's a good idea to go ahead with that.
There's a little disturbance from somewhere. Okay, it's gone now.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
So basically, when you select any kind of process of disinfection, okay, you have to make sure that priority is for preventing any kind of issues, hazard related with the health. So we are doing all this process to protect our health, not to spoil our health. So any kind of continuous use of any chemical, we say even if you consume more salt, you can die. So salt is everybody uses in food.
Exactly.
Yeah. So anything more than overdoing things or use of any kind of product in an indiscriminate manner, definitely it's a problem. And I personally don't approve the usage of chemicals on the human body, let it be in tunnel or by any other means.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I think we're going to end this here now because we're way past our time. So thank you so much, Mr. Amar, Mr. Dennis, and Mr. Santosh. Thank you to our audience who was very engaging. It's our pleasure to have all of you on our panel and all of you in our audience as well. And we hope that this session that we've organized in association with Reza Hygiene and TCL Chemicals was extremely informative, educative, and helped everyone gain a better perspective on training and the methods that can be used to combat the coronavirus. Thank you so much, and we hope to see all our audience next time as well.
Thank you, Shanti.
Any parting comments to our panelists? Any parting comments?
No. Just for me is to keep an awareness around COVID.
Sorry, Mr. Santosh, is that from your side?
No, I can't hear anything.
The people's now. Okay.
Sorry, what I was saying, Shanti, was just to keep an awareness. Go online, look at ISSA's website for current, clear, concise information as to how to deal with this, and keep current, because things are changing on a daily basis.
Yes. Okay, great. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a great day, and everybody, please stay safe.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Santi. Bye.
Bye.